Morning. Got the kettle on. I had a beautiful talk online, on live with Carl this morning about living and dying, and a lot more living and ways of death, mental deaths, rather than, and a death of being who we are rather than the actual leaving the body, which has been a really interesting morning and way of things. So Bear this morning, well, not Bear this morning, I suppose I'll give you the backstory. Last night I was on live with Carl, and this month I've been on twice. So I was on last night, which was brilliant, where we did a bit of a question and answer thing as well, and we've been able to talk about the process of living and dying in Portugal, and it's amazing work that we're doing, and we're going where people don't often go and helping people to deal with things that and bring to the surface things that they don't usually get to talk about and know that it's okay. And it's brilliant that we get to do this work. So last night, as you know, yesterday I took, if you watched the video for yesterday, I shouldn't assume that you do know, I walked the dogs. So we all went for our walk, and we did like 2.5 hours of walking, and then settling down, and he wouldn't settle, and I tried to bring him in and he wouldn't settle, so I ended up outside while I was on the live, and he barked for pretty much the entire time. So then finished the live and I brought him in, and he wouldn't settle, and he wouldn't settle, and it was over 7 times. I'd lost count at about 7 times between when I went to bed at around 9 to gone 1 in the morning, when I thought, do you know what, fuck this, and I went and put him outside. He still continued to bark all night, so I'm really quite tired today. So rather than, and I kept trying to approach, and he was just too in a mess. Like, when I say in a mess, he was too barky, jumpy up, didn't want to engage. When he's like that, he just escapes. So see, I couldn't, and I came over to sort him out, and it took a few attempts before I could take him and put him for his breakfast. I was too tired to get them for a walk, because by the time I actually got up and got sorted, it was just much later on than it should have been, and I was going live. So I kind of, well, there's no kind of about it. I thought, do I have him barking while I'm on this, or do I just let him take himself for a walk, because he'll be back in 3 hours, because he always goes and he takes like 3 hours and he'll be back. I thought, do you know what, if he goes now, I'll be able to do the thing, and then he'll be come back, and then we'll have all had a rest and he'll be tired out. Only he came back after about half an hour. So while I was on live, he was chasing the chicken, so he broke into the chicken space, chased them round. Elsa had gone out with him. She'd grabbed basically she came in with a chicken, come past me, so I had to walk out of the live to take the chicken out of Elsa's mouth and see to the chicken, but it seemed like it had its neck broke, so I don't think there'd have been much saving it. But I gave it Reiki and lay it down, and it transitioned really fast, and I got back onto the live because there was no point trying to catch Bear or do anything. And I thought, okay, we'll just see what happens. So the chicken was under a towel on my bed at that point, and I came out and Bear was in the chicken pen, just looking at the other two chickens who were just looking at Bear. So he hadn't killed the two chickens, but they were a bit shook up. And I got his lead on him, no problem, which is usually a massive issue for him. You try and get his lead on, and he sees it as a game, because to him everything's a game. At which point I then had to, I just tied him to a tree. So now he's, can you see, he's just lay down there resting, because he's had a very excitable, energetic morning, and I'm very tired, and I'm gonna have a cup of tea now, but I'm really not happy. He'd been doing really well, but all that barking and not settling down when I'd done what I could to help. So yeah, I'm a bit down because I've taken Bear to my friends to give me some thinking time. So he's now in a kennel, a little tiny kennel where he can't do any damage, and we know where he is and we know that he's safe. I've got 24 hours to think about things and decide what to do for the best, which feels really weird. This time yesterday I really didn't feel like this, but I sat down with my friend and we was like, okay, so his behaviour has caused the death of the chicken, and that's taken away from not giving to or bringing to. And what does he do? This is what my friend had said. What does he do for us? Like, what does he do? What does he bring to the community? Like, if he was a human, could he be here? No, he couldn't. But he's not a human, he's a dog. And, and what, as a dog, what's his benefits to being here? It certainly isn't taking care of the chickens, So, which I can't see right now. I'm going to go in and see. So his job should be to take care of everything, and to bark when there's danger. But he doesn't bark when there's danger. He barks at every given noise. No, guys. So he barks at anything and everything, which isn't helpful at all. So, there's the girls. So these two are all right. Are you all right, ladies? Yes? Hey? So can you see them down there? So they're quite happy. They've not been too upset by today's goings on, which is an absolute blessing. But unfortunately, I have one to do something with to... There's some more water, yeah. I have one to return to the earth, basically, which is... It's sad. It's sad when that happens. Are you alright, girls? Hey? Yeah? You okay? Okay. It's much more peaceful now he's not here. But there was plenty of times when it was peaceful with him here, and he had been getting better. Was last night just a bump, one of those glitches, and we tried to go through what's it, you know, what was the reason for last night. And he'd been fed, he'd been watered, he'd been walked longer than usual. He'd got attention, he'd been settled down. They'd all, you know. There wasn't a reason, because at that time he usually goes to sleep, and by then he'd been barking a few hours. So it's not that something had drastically changed other than he got an extra half an hour of exercise. He was in his usual place at that time, and then he got brought in, all as pretty much standard when it comes down to typical standard things that we do in our routine, our daily routine. So none of that was different. So I'm thinking, I'm really deeply feeling into, like, is it just that he doesn't want to do any change? You know, is it that he's not happy to not bark? Because to him everything's fun. It's fun to chase chickens, and it's fun to upset them. It's fun to bark constantly at absolutely everything, which, you know, it's fun if you bear. But when you're living in that same space, it's, you know, and it's so dark, you can't just turn a light on and say no and, you know, squirt water at him, because that's what I do. I've got a water squirter, a spray bottle. So when he barks, Batty, when he barks during the day, and I bark, hold on, Batty, leave it, good boy. So in the day, he's barking, I tell him no, and I tell him no, and I tell him no, and then I squirt him with water, and he doesn't like it. So he knows really that if I show him the water bottle, he'll shut up and behave. Well, last night when I showed him the water bottle, he carried on, or he shut up, and then I turned the light off and got my blanket back on, and he started again. And this went on over and over and over and over. And maybe he knows that at night, you know, because if you don't catch a dog at the time and at that moment and then tell them, then you've lost the moment and the opportunity to give them their, you know, tell them what's right and what's wrong, because they won't get it. So I just had to let it go then. So I know I can't, what's definitely certain here is I cannot continue to, I cannot continue to be awake, asleep, and I certainly can't hold space for people and do things with a dog, bark, 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 bark. It doesn't, you know, and I don't know why the extra walk and stuff didn't tire him out enough to, you know, settle or want to settle, or, you know, usually after a long walk he'll lie down and go to sleep. He didn't. Nothing's changed in his diet, so he's not had E-numbers, you know, like children do. Dogs are the same. If you feed them shite, they misbehave. I'm very specific in what I give them. They do not have E-numbers. They don't have additives and preservatives and food colourings. They have everything as plain and bland, still tasty, and as natural as possible, because that's healthy, you know. So yeah, I need to contemplate what's for the highest good here. What's the highest good for me is to have more sleep, and to be able to do what I need to do, to be able to earn a living, basically. Not that I do the share and care stuff for any money whatsoever. That's completely voluntary. That's a gift, and sharing the love. And I share the love when I do work, but it's a different sharing the love, and we don't get by on fresh air. We get by on transactions and on you know, monetary transactions sometimes, as well as exchanges of goods and services. So it's really important to be able to work, and to be able to work with him in the same space. And if he was on a chain and quiet, then it would be okay. Or if there was a way of having him so he was quieter when I'm on. But like when I was on, we used StreamYard, and we was on StreamYard, and whilst I'm on there, I can see on the mic, because it says test your mic, and I'm saying nothing, and he's outside barking, and the mic's bouncing up. So obviously, obviously there's an issue there, and because of the stroke, when I'm talking about something and then something else happens, it tends to catch me out, and then I lose my flow, lose where I'm at. Whereas I'm usually okay, and it's not that I don't know what I'm on about, it's that something's just took me, and then I'm lost. And you know, it's part of the recovery journey. You know, maybe I'll never get that back, the ability to carry on, and maybe it'll always happen. But to knowingly put myself in situations where that is going to happen more is not good. I've watched many a video where Ram Dass is talking, and then it'll go, and then I'll see someone like Raghu Marcus cover for him. When I say cover for him, I think there's no covering up needed, but he'll jump in, or Krishna Das will jump in and say something, and it's beautiful, and they've got a relationship where they can all do that and work together to love and serve for the highest good together. But there's just me, unless I'm with Carla and Louise. So when I'm with them, then we're able to, you know, jump in and help each other out. But I don't always have that. So it's his behaviour is affecting my ability to earn a living. So I really need to consider whether he stays or goes, and I need to hurry up and do that. So I'm going to go for another cup of tea, and I'm going to have some cheese and crackers, and contemplate what to do next. In an extremely strange turnaround, my friend, who's been in animal rescue for a very long time, and she deals with problem horses mainly, but she has a lot to do with dogs, can't keep him there for the rest of today. She said, I need to go and pick him up. like, she needs to send him back to me. Those were her words, ASAP. So luckily I've just done what I need to do. Bassie's just eating, and I'll have to set off and go and get him. And I'm glad that, and grateful that she tried, but it really does look like he needs to go back to where he came from, because if people who really know what they're doing with dogs and stuff are struggling with him, yeah, I think that's the best word. It doesn't feel quite right, but I believe that he's not right even for a short period. I've only been back a few hours. Don't even think it's that. Then it's quite clear that he really needs someone extra special who's going to put the hours in with him and be one-on-one. So that's what I'm going to go and get him. And I can only advise the kennels then, the kennel that he's going to go back to, that's what they're going to have to do. Because it's just not on. I honestly thought that it wouldn't be too much of an issue, but it's been interesting to see. Like, there's someone who really liked him. They don't want to take him because of the extra effort it'll take and energy and how much time he needs in walks. So, yeah, it's very unfortunate that it's looking like he's going to have to be back in the kennels. Well, to make things more different, I'm mucking out a moose. So I came to collect Bear, and my friend had gone out, so I said, I'll muck out your horse for you while you're out, because she's had an unexpected turn of events. So here I am mucking out this big fella, and then discovered that Bear had escaped the virtually unescapable kennel. Which is very interesting how he's managed that, but he has. And this lovely lady was going, I think this is your dog. I'm like, I think you're right, yeah. And he's refusing to get in the car, so he's tied up by the car. And I'm mucking out a moose. So, interesting day. He's a beautiful lad. He really is a beautiful lad. Yeah, I'm glad I fed Else and Batty before I set across. Yeah, very bizarre day. Very bizarre day. And keeping my eyes open for new owners. For Bear, if that's poss. So I'm going to go and finish off mucking out the moose. What are you trying to do, boy? I see you. I see you. He's thinking that we're not watching. Are you thinking that we're not watching? You're going to go steal that food? Yeah? Is this a camera? Yeah. Are you beautiful? Are you a beautiful boy? Yeah. You are a beautiful boy, aren't you? Even when you're being cheeky and stealing food. Anyway, best get on. Okay, so guess who's home at the moment? I have messaged the municipal kennels and I've told them that I'm very likely to bring him back on Thursday, and I've said why. My friend's willing to go with me because I'll need support on that day, because it's shit wanting to take on a dog and then having to give up because it ain't working. And he's brought me a lot of lessons. And with that, you know, with him has come a lot of grace, as in learning from the lessons that he's brought me. But you know, there's some things that we can put up with and some things we can't. We have to work out which we want. When we welcome something into our life, it doesn't mean it has to stay, even with an animal. Although, you know, when I took on Elsa, it was like I couldn't leave her in that mess. I knew she had to come with me, so I could try and help her go to wherever. Now she's ended up staying, and it was never intended to do that, but it's how it kind of worked out. She's pretty damn amazing. She has her moments, but she's pretty amazing. And she's lovely with children and adults, and she's pretty zen. Like Batty's a real snuggly dog, but I think boundaries and consent dog, because if you touch him without permission, he'll have you. You know, he's really zen until you go into his space, poking him or doing stuff without asking him first. You know, he'll make it known he's not happy. And if someone's funny or they try to come towards me in any manner, maybe to touch me or something, then he'll give them a warning, like you know, don't touch my mum kind of thing. And he's not doing it. He's not an aggressive little shite. He's not by any means. But what he is he's a boundaries and consent dog. So he's protective of me, but not in a snappy, snarly, yappy, misbehaving way. In a very, because a lot of people meet him and they say how lovely he is. Almost everyone loves Batty. I don't know anyone who doesn't, actually. No, I've not met anyone who doesn't love Batty. But he makes himself known, his presence known. In fact, the two lads who left, the night before they left, Batty had a really strange outburst at them, and he didn't want them to sit down. I don't know why, because I was in here and they was just outside, and the dad ended up getting up off his seat and going, "Whoa, don't bite me." And I thought, this is really strange and out of character. And then the next day all that happened, which is very interesting. So Batty works on levels that we just don't know about, I think. And I trust Batty as my guide, to tell me if someone's okay, if they're not okay, if there's something a bit that needs more looking into. Batty does that. Batty's been alright with Bear. Like today he's gone out and he's sat with Bear. This morning he welcomed him into the car when we got him, even though getting him into a car was a right bother. He didn't want to get in at all. And he pulled out of his collar a couple of times as well, and it's a new collar and there's nothing wrong with the collar, but he's managed to slip it despite it being tight. And he went off after barking at two dogs that were being walked, two medium to small dogs. They weren't quite small, they weren't quite medium. And he went off to see them, and then there was all fine. I was thinking, oh man, this isn't like him. Like, what's going on? But he was all right. So as much as he was reactive, it wasn't him, he's such a good dog with other dogs. He is. And and he was sat next to Moose, even though it was the other side of the gate, because I can't manage a moose and a bear at the same time. And they sat next to each other because Moose went up to see what he was barking at. Moose is looking at him through the gate and but Bear is barking. And the pair of them was just there together. So he's not an issue with that. He wasn't an issue with the donkey at the sanctuary either. So you know, it's not... He can be okay. It's just everything's a game to him. He doesn't want to hurt anything. But he needs a lot of attention, a lot of training. And I think he needs a lot of one-to-one, you know. I think it sucks that I can't give it to him. But who's going to pay my wages while I do? Do you know what I mean? Who's gonna do my work and put food on the table? If I do dedicate absolutely everything that I can, and I've been doing my best, and I'm you know, I do look tired, and the lights have been very forgiving. So yeah, today all I can think of, it's all perfect, you know, and I keep getting that voice like a Maharaji saying it's all perfect and like a monkey laugh. And I think of Hanuman and service and keeping our heart open to all and everything being perfect, no matter how crazy and strange and screwed up things can seem in the world of doing. It's all perfect in the higher order of things, you know. Things are happening so that we know that things need to be done, that things need to be changed, things need to transition from one stage to the next. So it is all perfect, and it everything that doesn't seem perfect is our, as we like to term, perfect, is just another room for growth, more room for growth. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where we're at, and it's, as much as we're all God in drag, and Bear is God in drag, I think that this is teaching me that as much as I'd like to have space for everyone and give space and be able to help make it work, just like the two who came where it didn't work, the two volunteers, it's just that it's that soul is not a right fit for what's needed for the highest good here. You know, it's nothing personal. I love Bear to pieces so much, and it's from inside my heart, it's like, you know, I want him to stay, but what's the cost of that? What's the cost of that in work? What's the cost of that in damage? What's the cost of that in my energy? How will that affect me and being able to function? Because we only have so much energy, you know. And like my friend said to me, she said, fuck Em, she says, you weren't born with a cape on and tights, you know. You're not here to save the world. And you owe no one anything, and you give him the best chance you could, and it didn't work. So what? He you know, it didn't work. And I hear her, you know, and it was so comforting to hear that for me, because I really wanted it to work. Very much so. He's a beautiful boy. He's so cuddly and fun. But he needs, like, a whole different energy level, or complete one-on-one-ness to be able to, as much as he's great with other animals, he needs complete love and attention and training with someone who can give him that full, undivided attention that I'm not able to do. What did he do at my friend's? He, apart from barking almost non-stop, he ate through a chain link fence in the enclosure, which is interesting because he didn't eat through the chain link fence at the kennels. He managed to eat through the window on the door and get himself out the hole and take himself for an adventure. And then he managed to get himself through or over a fucking 5-foot barbed wire and chain link fence to get to the other side. Like, wow, man. Like, what's he doing when no one's looking? Is he climbing trees or something? Has he got ESP? And is he like beam me up, Scotty? Beam me over to the other side of the fence or something? It's like, how the hell's he done that? No, I do not know at all. But anyway, I'm so grateful for that little bit of a break where he could be not here, so I could manage to sort out and send off the beautiful chicken friend of mine. As she's made her transition and now left us and gone to wherever she needed to go. Poor baby. But that's chicken medicine, you know. There'll be a thing there that I'm going to have to look up because I can't remember everything. And there's medicine when something gives up its life, something random happens, like a chicken dying, in such a way, especially when it's brought to you and handed to you, nearly almost it was handed when I asked for, it makes you wonder, like, so I'm going to look up chicken medicine and then I'm going to head to bed, I think. So thank you for watching and thank you for bearing with me today. It's been an interesting day, a tough day, a beautiful day of sharing and listening and being with people. And yeah, I shall see you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe if you like keeping up to date with all these things. See what actually happens to Bear, because who knows? Nothing's permanent in this world. But, you know, and you can hear him in the background, but who knows what will happen tonight? Who knows what will happen tomorrow? Who knows? You just don't know. Someone watching might say, wow, Bear's the perfect dog for me. Awesome, give us a shout and we'll see what we can sort out. Keep up to date on what's happening here at Creative Roots. And big loves, good night.